Chairman Andrews, Ranking Member Klein, and members of the subcommittee, thank you for the opportunity to appear before you today to discuss the importance of independent investment advice. Investment advice is important because without it, many retirees in participants in defined contribution plans will reach retirement without enough income to live on. Many participants contribute too little to their pension plans to provide for their retirement. When choosing from among different plan options, many participants often take too much or too little risk. The Department of Labor has found that they pay higher fees than necessary. Independent investment advice can help participants understand the importance of early and regular contributions to pension plans, to make the right investment choices in their plans, and to stick with those choices during periods of market volatility. For many participants, the availability of independent investment advice will determine whether they achieve financial security in retirement. The availability of independent investment advice to plan participants also has systemic consequences for our political and economic institutions. To the extent that our system of private pensions fails to provide for retirees' financial independence, societal demands on Social Security, Medicare, and other public welfare programs will increase. One limitation on the providing of independent investment advice to plan participants is the perceived liability risk for employers under ERISA. It is appropriate to create limited safe harbors to protect employers who include independent investment advisory services in their pension plans. It is not appropriate, however, to create such safe harbors for employers to provide conflicted investment advice. Indeed, ERISA's prohibited transaction provisions were designed to prevent such conflicts of interest. The Pension Protection Act's conflicted advice exemption, especially as interpreted and expanded by the Department of Labor, promotes conflicted investment advice. Advisors will steer participants to investment products that are more profitable for the advisor's employer and affiliates rather than those that are best suited to participants' needs. For example, the department believes that conflicts can be eliminated as long as the advisor's compensation appears not to vary based on the investment products selected, even while the advisor's employer and its executives and the supervisors of the advisor receive higher fees from an affiliate when the advisor recommends an affiliate's more profitable products to participants. It is absolutely certain that these incentive payments will affect the advisor's recommendations, regardless of whether the advisor's compensation is facially neutral. The department's exemption for computer-based recommendations does not even attempt to prevent the advisor himself from being directly compensated for recommending affiliates' most profitable products. The conflicted advice exemption also will have the effect of squeezing out independent advice. Plan service providers will package conflicted advice along with investment products and record keeping and charge a bundled fee for all of these services. Independent advisors will have to charge an additional fee in order to get paid, which will create the appearance of participants who are already paying the bundled fee paying twice for investment advice. The conflicted advice exemption will introduce the kinds of sales abuses that are commonplace in the retail mutual fund industry to 401k participants. For example, under current law, retail mutual fund salesmen are allowed to steer clients to the mutual funds that pay them the highest compensation. They are not even required to disclose these under-the-table kickbacks to their clients. Some of these practices already have become firmly ensconced in the private pension world. In a study of pension consultants, the SEC found that more than half of the consultants they inspected were being compensated by the money managers that the consultants recommended to their pension plan clients. The GAO found that the clients of pension consultants that do not disclose significant conflicts of interest experienced lower investment returns. And these are the cases where presumably sophisticated plan sponsors are being exploited. Imagine what practices will evolve when conflicted advisors are allowed to victimize unsophisticated 401k participants. Many will treat participants fairly, but many will not. In conclusion, I strongly encourage the committee to seek the repeal of the PPA's conflicted advice provision. While much of the damage has been caused by the department's interpretive guidance and its class exemption, the statutory exemption alone has the effect of promoting conflicted advice. In addition, the committee should consider legislation that prohibits a person who provides investment advice to plan participants, including that person's employer and any affiliates, from receiving any compensation from the plan other than compensation received for the investment advice, or any direct or indirect compensation or benefit from any other plan service provider. This would repeal the department's overbroad positions in Frost Bank and Sun America and prevent the adoption of the department's pending class exemption each of which effectively permits advisors to recommend products based on the additional benefits they receive, rather than the best interests of participants. The Department should be authorized to exempt only the receipt of specifically identified de minimis or offsetting benefits, as long as they do not result in any benefit to the advisor or the advisor's employer or affiliates due to the investment options selected by the participant. Finally, an exemption for computer-based models should be retained, but it should not be used to extend protection to conflicted advice provided within the model's recommendations. It should be designed to encourage the providing of independent investment advice to participants. Thank you.